Do you expect more from Harden without Embiid?
I don't know why we would expect more from Harden. He's shown over the last year and change that this is the player he is. But at this point of his career, he's a facilitator, he's a playmaker, but he is not the volume scorer that we saw in Houston. And to me, the adjustment is not for James to look to score more. They had a lot of success when they went small and they attacked. They couldn't buy a three-point bucket. And they also had a lot of success when they went to that zone. 23 possessions in zone last night, 0.65 points per possession. The 71 possessions in half court and man, Miami scored 1.13 points per possession. So to me, this is more about let's adjust the lineup a little bit. DeAndre Jordan, as much as I love him, a dear friend, at this point, I don't think he should be starting in a playoff game. Start Paul Reed, and then at times go small with Tobias Harris and George Niang out on the court. Spread them out. Give Harden space, give Maxey space, give Tobias Harris space, and shoot threes.
That's such a breath of fresh air. I've been saying it for 6 weeks, and I don't know why people are having such a hard time, JJ, like buying into, I guess this is just what it's going to be. You know, you look at James Harden over the last 6 weeks, but really focus in on the last month. James Harden hasn't had one game in which he had the same number of points as his career playoff average, which was 23 points a game. Not once in 13 straight games. He doesn't win that matchup that's in front of him anymore to the extent that he did. Now, those guys ride his hip a little longer. Even guys like P.J. Tucker, who's a great defender. P.J. Tucker is not a laterally quick guy. He's a strong guy. So when James Harden gets a switch like he did last night with P.J. Tucker on him, 28, 30 feet from the basket, 3 years ago, that's a back and forth 6 times, go to your left hand, and that guy's in your rearview mirror. And now it's let me get into the paint and now wreak havoc with my passing or my scoring ability. He didn't win that matchup. He didn't win matchups last night when he got switches with Strus on him, with Bam Adebayo at 30 feet from the basket. His inability to beat that guy, to me, that's all predicating now why James Harden looks the way he does. And that's not going to change night to night, especially without Embiid, because Miami's got guys sitting in his lap. They're just waiting. They're daring Danny Green and Niang and Korkmaz. Go ahead. Can you guys make shots to beat us? If so, we'll adjust to that. Last night, to JJ's point, 6 for 34 from the three. You're not helping James Harden at all if you're not making shots as role players. But it all gets back to the same point. Physically, he is just not the same. He does not have the burst to win that matchup that's in front of him. That set up his entire game. And those step-back threes aren't going in as frequently either because not as much lift, more contested. Yeah. It's just, and he's an inefficient player right now offensively, and people just want him to go get 35 because that's who James Harden is. It's not there right now.
I want to come back to that in a minute, but I want to hear from you.
Both of you guys were deadly shooters when you played. There's no question about it. And you had to have certain guys do certain things for you to be able to get your shots up. But could it be such, and we watched James Harden in the closeout game last series that he was in, he looked pretty good to me. But could it be more Doc Rivers in what he's asking him to do and less James Harden? Because if you go back last year, but prior to him in and out of the lineup in Brooklyn, he was cooking with Mike D'Antoni on the sideline. So I'm looking at it, and when you go back to Houston, I heard you mention it, JJ, that he hasn't been the same guy since probably his Houston days. Well, who was on the bench coaching him in Houston when he was really cooking like that? It was Mike D'Antoni. So is this more Doc Rivers' system in the situation in which he want to play? You also mentioned DeAndre Jordan. We love him. There's no question about it. But the lineup, the way he is rotating guys, the way he's mixing things up, if he decided to go small and do some of the things that we saw him do in Houston or early in Brooklyn, could this be a difference for James Harden in Philadelphia?
One thing I just want to ask you quickly, and then we'll get back to the game in this series, because when you brought up him losing a step. Now, obviously, I'm not going to say, was this trade a mistake? Because we saw how it ended on the Ben Simmons side of things. But do you think it's the right move to assign him to a long-term extension? He's the right fit there in Philly, now that we're seeing how this plays out when he needs to step up.
I'd have a tough time, but that's not the way the NBA works, unfortunately. He's going to get his money. Would I feel comfortable giving him $200+ million going into the deal, JJ, the way he looks right now? I mean, that's a very difficult thing to live with. Now, fortunately for Philly, he's not their best player. If he was the best player, then absolutely not. You can't do it. He's not. Joel Embiid is. So you're hoping James Harden can be a good enough version of who he is at this stage of his career. People in Philadelphia, believe me, are debating this on a daily basis because I'm listening to it every single day when I'm down there. And a lot of people now are falling on the side of, based on the way he looks right now, how could you possibly commit that kind of money to him? I always say this, what's your alternative solution then? Because you have to have something to come in there that's better than this.
Yep.
And listen, this is above my pay grade, JJ. That's why Daryl Morey gets paid a lot of money to have to make that decision. But I think the way the NBA works typically, they're going to give him the money. They went through all this to get him.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.